Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
Welcome into the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. Glad to have y'all in here on a Wednesday. It's been a while since we've had a show. It's been a while since we have been on the air. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of sports stuff going on, but there's, heck, even more off the radio, off the show going on here for us. It's been a crazy couple of days. And really last week here in Texas. Mo and I both are in Texas, and we both have lost power at some points. It's been a crazy couple of days here in Texas, and would join Mo Aleem. Mo, we're finally back. It's been 2 weeks since we've been together.
Yeah, as you can see, I lost my sunglasses through the blizzard. So everybody had some issues, and I would say that was my number one.
Is that you lost your sunglasses?
Yeah, I went through it, man. I can't find my shades, so now I'm in the heat, and I can't block myself from the sun. So big problem still over here, but you guys get to see my face and my eyes now. So take with that, how you will.
Yeah, so for those of y'all who are up north or wherever you are, we don't get weather like we got last week. But just for reference, last week in Texas, it got down to -3 degrees from where I live. Today, currently, right now, it's 78. So that is the difference in Texas weather. And I know it's pretty similar down there in Austin.
Yeah, this time last week it was in the 20s, and now it's literally 85, sunny. You can't step outside without sweating. So, Texas weather, man. You literally cannot predict it. Wait a week and see what happens. It'll probably be -14 or something.
I know
never know.
It's been absolutely crazy. Well, another thing in Texas that has been hot and cold are the Dallas Mavericks, and they have been up and down all season in the NBA season. Coming into this year, everyone had a ton of expectations for this team because of what they did in the bubble, because of what they were able to do in the bubble, being able to get close to knocking off the Clippers. And there's been a lot of talk recently about Kristaps Porzingis. And I started thinking about this because there's a lot of talk about him leaving. There's a lot of talk about him going to, being on the trade market. There's been talks about the Golden State Warriors. I don't think that happens. I don't think that the Warriors need Kristaps. There's been talks about the Bulls and Zach LaVine. Don't think that works out. So today I was looking at some teams that possibly could go out and get Kristaps Porzingis. And I think I have come up with a trade that would benefit both teams and would be a real good, fair, even trade. And it's player for player. And we don't get these often in the NBA. You usually get one player and a couple of picks. You get one player for, you get one player and then throw in somebody. And if this were to happen, that's probably what would end up having to happen. But here's my pick. Here's my trade. Kristaps Porzingis to the Portland Trailblazers for CJ McCollum. This makes sense for both teams. Dallas, you need somebody who can score. You need somebody who can score off the dribble, who can catch and shoot. The Dallas Mavericks are missing Seth Curry a lot this season. Seth Curry went over to the 76ers, and they're missing Seth Curry a lot. So this would suffice in terms of catch and shoot off of Luka, driving and penetrating, doing whatever Luka does, and then kicking it off to CJ McCollum. He's a good catch and shoot. He can still make plays off the dribble. He can still create his own shots. It works out. It's perfect. For Kristaps Porzingis in Portland, Portland still has good players. Portland still has Gary Trent Jr., who's been playing most of the season, has gotten, I think he's played almost all but one game this year at the shooting guard position, and he's played well. You have Gary Trent Jr. What you need is you need a big that can shoot. You need to space out the floor. That's Kristaps Porzingis. Now, both of these players are injured a lot. Both of these players have injury history, so I don't know if you're getting as a great value in terms of production, in terms of how many games are played. But for Dallas, CJ McCollum has played more games than Kristaps Porzingis has had in the last couple of years. And their contracts are nearly identical. And when I say nearly identical, I think that they're within $100,000 difference. That's it. Both 4 years, both, I think, $29 million contracts. They're identical. So I think this works. For Dallas, you get a catch and shoot. You get a guy who can still create a shot on his own. You get a guy who can dribble and penetrate. For Portland, you need a big. You can't rely on Enes Kanter and some of these other guys. You can stretch the floor, allow Dame Dollar to do what he does and get to the basket real easily now because you're stretching the floor with Kristaps Porzingis. Both of these players, I think, are similar in terms of them being available. I think both of them have had injury histories, but I think this helps both teams. Is this going to happen? Probably not, because it doesn't really make sense in terms for Dallas to go and get that contract and try to get Kristaps Porzingis' contract away and then bring back CJ. Because for Dallas, you cannot waste Luka Doncic. We saw him yesterday against the Boston Celtics hit 2 clutch shots, back-to-back possessions, and win the game. We've seen him win games in the NBA playoffs. You cannot waste Luka Doncic. So you have to surround him with things. They thought Kristaps Porzingis was a 1 when he was in New York. Turns out he's not. Okay, let's try him at a 2, at the number 2 guy. Still, when he's healthy, it might work, but he's not really healthy. Doesn't work. Let's try to move him on. You have got to do whatever you can to keep Luka Doncic in Dallas and surround him with talent so you can try to win championships. I think this trade works. Kristaps Porzingis for CJ McCollum. I think you, player for player, absolutely done. It's over. I think that that's an easy thing for the Dallas Mavericks to do. Mo, what do you think about this trade? We just talked about it. We haven't, I told you that I had a trade in mind. I haven't told you anything about it. What's your thoughts?
I mean, obviously, if I could have CJ McCollum on the Dallas Mavericks, that would be a godsend. That I think is a little bit of a reach for Dallas at this point to get a player like that because of the things you mentioned, like Kristaps' injury history, his inconsistency when he's actually on the court, his defensive, sort of liability that he is on the defensive side of the ball. So I think, having CJ McCollum obviously is a huge improvement in terms of what the team would look like today. So I don't think it's obviously going to happen. Like you said, player for player trades are very uncommon in the NBA. and especially one where Portland is giving up their second best player. I don't see that happening in terms of a like-for-like value switch. What I could see is a team like the Warriors who are in sort of that rebuilding mode, who still have, a few good years left on Steph, a few good years left on Draymond, hopefully some years that they can get out of Clay. What they can do is move some of the other pieces around that they have already been moving around. Like they had, D'Lo for a while, that didn't work out. So they moved on to Andrew Wiggins. I don't know if Andrew Wiggins is, a fit there in Golden State. I don't know if he's, sort of gelling with that team the way, they expected him to. So I would say a much more realistic trade scenario would be some player like that. That's, a third or fourth option on a team right now, like the Warriors, like a Kelly Oubre or an Andrew Wiggins, being that like-for-like player switch, and then perhaps some draft compensation because, Kristaps obviously has quite a bit of value, by the name. He's got, I think, a lot of clout in terms of what he could be, a lot of potential.
Yeah.
It obviously hasn't panned out in Dallas. But I think the Warriors, don't have really a true big man right now. And one that can shoot like Kristaps would fit, really well into that system, playing pick and roll with Steph Curry. He could pop it. Steph can always
That's
pop
true.
it. So I think that makes a little bit more sense in terms of feasibility. I just don't see us realistically getting a player like CJ McCollum. Like I can hope, but I think that's a really long shot for us.
Yeah.
So I would settle for like an Andrew Wiggins or a Kelly Oubre at that point. Just someone that's a 3-and-D sort of guy, and can still drive into the paint, kick out, and still be a physical presence and really be not a liability on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting because I don't think that the Warriors are going to do it. I don't think that the Warriors, I don't know. I mean, I think that the Mavericks are going to try to get something good for Kristaps Porzingis. And I think the market, I think that he's a good enough player to demand that. So, I mean, this was something that I don't see the Golden State Warriors doing it. I don't see, I don't see that. I don't see the Bulls trying to get Kristaps Porzingis. In all honesty, I think that he's going to still be a Maverick. I don't think that they're going to be able to move him unless their asking price is super low. I don't know if they're going to be able to move him because he does have a pretty hefty contract. He has, I think it's $29 million for 4 years. It is a hefty contract that he has. But I want to move on to the NFL here because last week we didn't have a live show because of the storms. Mo didn't have internet. I was afraid that the internet or the electricity would go out at any point in time, but I was able to sneak in a podcast episode, and I talked about Carson Wentz to the Colts. I talked about him actually just being traded and who the Eagles should look for in a trade partner and where I think he was the best fit. And I narrowed it down to, I think that Chicago would be okay, not great, but I thought that the Indianapolis Colts were the right fit. Next day later, here's Carson Wentz, now an Indianapolis Colt. So I wanted to talk about this because we didn't get it, and Mo hasn't really talked about anything. Mo, we haven't even talked about the Super Bowl. We haven't even talked about that. We haven't even had the chance to talk about the Super Bowl. But I wanted to talk about Carson Wentz because I think that Carson Wentz immediately makes the Colts a Super Bowl contender. It wasn't that long ago that Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate. It wasn't that long ago that Carson Wentz was the one that led the Philadelphia Eagles into the postseason before he got hurt right before the postseason. But he had an incredible year. And I don't think that the Eagles would have won the Super Bowl probably with Carson Wentz, but he was having an MVP caliber season in Philadelphia the year that they won the Super Bowl. And I think that he still has a lot left. I think that his relationship with Doug Peterson wasn't great. It's kind of hard when you're in a town where your head coach and your backup quarterback have a statue outside of the stadium. It's kind of hard to get into it. It's kind of hard to feel like you're wanted there. I think he just thought, this is no more. He can't do anything more with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think this is great for the Colts. The Colts get a quarterback. They have a better offensive line than the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a better weapons around offensively. Their defense is better. They're in a worse division. Well, I don't know about worse division, but I think the Colts are Super Bowl contenders. I think that they'll win the AFC South. I think that Carson Wentz is underrated at this point. I still think that he obviously has some things that he needs to fix, but I'm all in on Carson Wentz and the Colts. I think that they can compete for an AFC title. I don't think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be as good next year as they were in these last 2 seasons. I think that they're going to kind of be tired and fatigued. And so I think that the Colts could be a sneaky, dangerous team here in the AFC. Mo, do you think that they're title contenders?
I'm honestly a little bit hesitant to give them that sort of, put them that high on a pedestal right now, just because of the confidence, the lack of confidence that Carson Wentz played with this year with the Eagles. Obviously he's back with Frank Reich. He's back with a system and a coach that, believes in him. Obviously they traded for him. Obviously they didn't give up that much to get him, but at the same time, they made a Super Bowl run together under Frank Reich. He had MVP caliber season that season. And, I think they're definitely going to win the AFC South. If they don't, that would be a major disappointment. So, it's really on Carson Wentz now. He has all the pieces. He's got a young receiving core. He's got a really good O-line. He's got a solid defense. He's in the top 3 teams in the AFC at this point. So, really, I think it's going to come down to Carson Wentz being the X factor for that team, and if they can pull off, a magical run to the Super Bowl. So we'll see. I think the expectations are very high because of what Carson Wentz has done in the past with the Philadelphia Eagles. If he lives up to those expectations, I'm not so sure. I think it might take a season or 2 for him to get, reacclimated with the team. His confidence level back to where it should be, being, a second pick in the draft. He needs to be playing a lot better than what he has been doing. So, we'll see what happens. I do definitely put them in the top 3 teams in the AFC, and probably a dark horse for the Super Bowl, but I wouldn't say, they're my favorites to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC side still. You got to see them in action.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they come up with and how this team really gels together. There's been reports that he's already like hitting it off with everybody. It seems to be pretty, going pretty well so far. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens with him and the Indianapolis Colts. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little NBA All-Star Game. Were some people snubbed? There's been all the talk about these people being snubbed. I don't know if they have been snubbed or not, but Mo and I will talk about that coming up here on the Logan Ward Show. We'll be right back.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
Welcome back to the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. Glad to have y'all in. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. It's actually at Logan Ward Show now on Twitter. You can follow the show there. You can also like us on Facebook. Go to Facebook, just search the Logan Ward Show, and we'll be there as well. We got all sorts of social media. Anywhere you use social media, we're there. Anywhere, if you want to find us on YouTube, you can find the Logan Ward Show on YouTube as well. So anywhere that you do your social media, wherever you go and watch videos, whatever you do, search us, and we're probably there. So be sure to do that. It goes a long way to helping out the show. So the NBA All-Star Game is coming up. They're actually holding an NBA All-Star Game, which was already like a topic of discussion around of if they should actually be holding an All-Star Game or not, because honestly, what's the point? At this point, what's the point of holding an All-Star Game? It's not going to do much. No one really watches it. No one really cares, and it just feels like we're kind of cash grabbing, which it could be. I mean, you know, the pandemic has kind of put us in this situation. But here we are, and there have been some people that think they're snubbed. There have been some people that have felt like maybe they deserve to be in the All-Star Game and aren't. You know, I don't know. It's one of those things to me that if someone is snubbed, who are they taking out? Who are you going to replace if you think you are snubbed? So, Mo, let's run through. Here are the reserves. So the starters, I think we're all kind of understand that these are the best players in the NBA. And so they're probably going to be there. I think that we can both kind of think, okay, those are fine. We're not going to debate about the starters. But let's think about the reserves. So for the West, we have Anthony Davis, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Zion Williamson. Those are for the West. And for the East, you got Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum, and Nikola Vucevic. I know I butchered his name. But so I don't know anybody who's been snubbed. I know that people are talking about DeMar DeRozan possibly being snubbed from this, but I don't know who you're going to take out. Maybe Chris Paul, but he's had an incredible year. I don't know who you take out.
Yeah, I would say this list is pretty, comprehensive in terms of the best players on the best teams. I honestly, I might be able to make a case that, maybe some of these reserves should be starters. There's sort of an outside argument that, Dame has had a better season than Luka potentially, or that, Donovan Mitchell has had a better season than Luka and he should replace him. But for the most part, it's pretty, it looks pretty good to me. I would say the only reason people are feeling that way is that, some of these players that are, made the All-Star team for the first time in their lives have really jumped off the page in 2021. Like a Julius Randle, he was, just another role player on the team, last year. And so the stark contrast between, where Julius Randle was last year and what he's doing this year for the Knicks and carrying that team and averaging, 30 a game this year.
It's incredible.
People probably just see the recency and have that sort of, recency bias saying that, Julius Randle deserves to be an all-star starter. I would say Dame has probably had a better season than Luka, so he probably should be a starter. But, for the most part, it looks as though, these are the top premier players
Yeah.
in the NBA, and I don't have too much of a problem with it.
So here's a question for you. So right now we have 4 of the 14 reserves are first-time All-Stars. Jaylen Brown is for the Celtics is his first All-Star. Zach LaVine of the Bulls, Julius Randle of the Knicks, and then Zion Williamson. If I say 10 years in the future, who has the most All-Star appearances out of those 4? Who are you saying? Jaylen Brown, Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, or Zion? I think the obvious choice is Zion.
Yeah, I would say that one's kind of a no-brainer if you're taking the easy choice. I would say the dark horse in that is Zach LaVine being in the Chicago. I think they're going to build around Zach LaVine. No matter what happens, he's sort of the cornerstone piece for the Chicago Bulls right now. And he's probably just going to continue to improve his game, continue to get better, obviously. He's had year-on-year growth every single year.
That's true.
In terms of stats, in terms of points that he scored. And he makes that team, he's bringing that team back to relevance after, such a long time where, the D Rose years and the Jimmy Butler years.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been such a long time since the Bulls have been, relevant on the NBA landscape. So I think they need someone exciting like Zach LaVine, and he's got, that sort of, Showtime ability to bring people to the stadiums, put butts in seats, and make All-Star appearances. I think he's going to be carrying that team for a long time. So if you're averaging 30 a game for your team, it's hard not to make the All-Star team.
Doesn't that seem like so long? The Jimmy Butler Bulls seems like so long ago. Like Jimmy Butler's been on 3 teams since then. Like that seems such a long time ago that Jimmy Butler was a Bull. Like, and that's where he got his start. But it just seems he's been on the 76ers, the Timberwolves, and now the Heat. Since he's been with the Bulls.
And I don't even attribute that Bulls team to being, Jimmy Butler's team. I would say that was, Derrick Rose's team, and Jimmy Butler sort of had to inherit it because Derrick Rose went down, and Jimmy Butler was, the responsibility was thrust on his shoulders.
I guess that's fair.
He ever had, ownership of that team, being the clear-cut leader of that team, on his own. And as the chosen leader, he was sort of forced into that role because of, injuries to, an all-time great, if he would stay healthy, Derrick Rose. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think it's sort of a double-edged sword. If you're, a really good player on a terrible team, should you be an all-star like a Bradley Beal or a even a Julius Randle? The Knicks are
Julius
getting
Randle's
better, but it's still not a great premier team. Whereas someone like Donovan Mitchell being the best player on the best, team in the NBA record-wise, he's still not a starter. So I don't know. The discrepancy is weird, and it's a fan vote sort of thing.
Yeah, the fans, it really is.
Is any sort of real criteria for having all-stars. So it's just whoever's popular at the end of the day.
Yeah, last year's game was actually really entertaining. The format that they changed to, the points had to get to a certain point, that was wildly entertaining. That was really fun, and I can't remember the last time I had fun watching an all-star game. I think that the events are real fun, but like an actual just game, it's been a while but last year's was actually pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think the whole thing around NBA All-Star is that you have to keep revising it, keep refreshing it, because
for sure.
it gets stale and old. Like, the dunk competition is always exciting because you see new dunks every year. You see new faces every year. People that you probably didn't hear about until they entered the dunk competition. Like, who's Hamidou Diallo? Like, I had no idea who that guy was until he jumped into the dunk competition and, had some fantastic highlights there.
Yeah.
3-point competition is always, new players, the premier shooting talent in the NBA. But yeah, the game typically was just, people throwing up lobs, people throwing up, hard dunks, no defense being played.
No defense.
So, the format definitely changing that was, needed for the NBA to keeping it fresh. And I think something like that would help, the college football playoff. Revising and refreshing something like that would make that better too. So I think with those types of things, you have to always constantly be looking for ways to improve, or you lose viewership, you lose interest.
Yeah, it's I thought that last year's was wildly entertaining. I don't think that there's anybody really here that doesn't deserve to be in it. You could maybe make the argument about Paul George or Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is hurt right now, so he's probably not going to play anyway. So, DeMar DeRozan or any of those guys that feel like they got snubbed, maybe you get in that way because Anthony Davis isn't going to play an all-star game. Like that's not going to happen. He's not going to play. So you can get that in.
Yeah, and I think Anthony Davis just actually got replaced by Devin Booker already. So,
there it is.
He would be the next person on that list that, probably thought he got snubbed because he's had, a pretty fantastic season and the Suns are playing, really good basketball. But, for the most part, this is, the top talent in the NBA. And I wouldn't even be too offended at this point. Like, you didn't make the team, but that's just saving you a trip to having to go down to Atlanta during a pandemic and having to play an extra game and spending a whole, weekend away from your family. So, take it with a grain of salt, I think, at this point, if you didn't make it and just work harder next year to be better. I don't think you're missing out too much this year.
I don't either. You're not going to miss out a ton on, especially this season. I've been watching, obviously, with the football season now over, been watching more NBA and, last night's game, Celtics, Mavericks, those are my two favorite teams. It was a good game, so, I can't complain. I'm glad that it was a good competitive game. Luka just, made one more shot. What's weird to me, I don't know, this is off topic, and this is not something that I went in, going to discuss, but I've been watching a lot of the NBA games in the last couple of weeks, and, man, these alternate jerseys, I understand that they're not for us. They're not for me and you. They're for that 13, 14-year-old kid who's buying jerseys. And trust me, I'm a high school teacher. I see them. These kids eat up those types of jerseys. But, they're awful, dude. There's a couple of them. I like the Suns. I like the San Antonio Spurs jerseys. But, the Dallas Mavericks ones are okay with the city on their chest. I don't mind those. But, man, some of these jerseys are terrible. The Miami Heat, if I have to watch that Miami Heat team play again with those jerseys, I'm going to turn it off. Those are awful. They look like cotton candy.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't stop capitalism. That's the bottom line is that, people will buy those jerseys, and especially, like you said, young kids and people that, sort of get bored with the same old colors, the Lakers, the blue jersey. The Lakers have never been blue and white. So, where do those colors even come from, and how do they decide how they're going to make these alternate jerseys? Because I think they're just randomly throwing colors onto a page or spinning a wheel and blindly picking something. I don't know how they're doing it, but yeah, you really can't stop America from making money, and it is what it is at this point.
Man, I give those I give those kids such dirty looks in the hallway when they pull up in their that jersey. I've seen a kid with that he's wearing a Miami Heat Jimmy Butler jersey, and man, I give that kid, he probably thinks I hate him, and I don't even know the kid's name, but man, those jerseys are terrible jerseys. And the Boston Celtics one, I get it, the tradition, the banners, but I tweeted last night, they're not going to get a banner. That's the only banner they're getting this year is those new jerseys. It's awful. There are a couple of them that are pretty good. I really do like the San Antonio Spurs one. That one's sick.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to be hit or miss. You have 32 teams across the NBA, so obviously not all of them are going to be good. But yeah, I think with the extra time that the NBA has had on their hands, the extra manpower and facilities that they're not utilizing on having fans in the stadiums, having to take care of ticket sales, all these things, they've got to make money a different way. So they're just looking for alternate ways of making revenue, and I think they'll get better over time, but
no, there, like I said, there are a couple of them, and they really like to go the throwback way. The Suns one is very retro throwback. So is so are the Spurs, and those are typically the ones that I like. And I don't even mind the Brooklyn Nets, the one that has the cursive on it. I don't mind those, but man, some of these are terrible. And did you again? I am getting way off topic tonight. The Charlotte Hornets court, where it's the honeycomb with the blue, in the paint or in the entire 3-point line. Oh my gosh, dude!
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I know what you're talking about.
I mean, I never
I've seen
watched
enough
Charlotte
LaMelo
Hornets
highlights
games.
now.
Yeah,
where I can sort of reference it in my mind. Because literally, anytime he does anything with the basketball, they'll find a way to
ESPN's
get him
putting
on
it out.
SportsCenter. Yeah.
Exactly.
ESPN top 10, 8 LaMelo Ball highlights.
It's just him.
Oh man,
It's just him like throwing bounce passes. They put him on
Miles
there.
Bridges has an insane dunk. They're like, "What, LaMelo with an amazing pass?" And they don't even know how to show the dunk. Oh man,
It's a chest pass to him, and
I mean, he is more exciting than Lonzo. I will give you that. So
Yeah, he
I
is.
think
man.
at the very least, he's gonna be in the NBA longer than Lonzo will, and probably have a better career. So,
Yeah, I'm sure he won't be on his second team by this early in his career. All right, well, we're way off topic. We're gonna take a break. Try to get back on topic here at some point. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about Tiger Woods. What happened. We're not going to do any speculation, but Mo and I are big golf people, so we're going to talk about some Tiger Woods and what's next for him. Give our thoughts on the GOAT of golf. That's coming up here on the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Change your game with the all-new Pro Rock Hockey Stick, a Canadian company providing a top-of-the-line twig at an affordable price. Pro Rock sticks are extremely lightweight, balanced, and provide the perfect kick point. Get your fully customized stick today at ProRock.com. Play like a Pro Rock.
Welcome back to the Logan Ward Show here on 12 Ounce Sports. Hey, be sure to go and subscribe to the podcast if you ever miss an episode. We put the episode out. We put it on Apple, Spotify, all of the podcast apps. We put the just audio version of the show out on those platforms. So be sure to go and subscribe to that. And it's, that's one way to support the show, so go do that. Leave a review, whatever you can do to help out the show. So please go ahead and do that. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about Tiger Woods. Of course, this story broke yesterday, and I wouldn't be doing a very good job of being a sports broadcaster if I don't mention the biggest sports story of the week. So we're going to talk a little bit about Tiger Woods, and we're not going to speculate or not really speculate because we don't know what happened, and there's nobody. I mean, we've seen Mo sent me over a thing where it says that maybe he was on his way to a photo shoot and just was in a hurry. LAPD has said that there wasn't any alcohol or anything involved, so that's good. Like, whew, that would have been terrible if it would have been something similar to what happened, years ago. But, Mo and I talked about it just a little bit off air. It's like, Mo, I can't imagine that his golf career it's over. Like, I don't think you can come back from this. Being as injured as he's been, trying to come back from I just think it's over. I think his golf career is done.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like Tiger was in the prime of his career anyways at this point. He was definitely on, the latter half and really declining in terms of, yeah, exactly. He was at that 18th hole in his career. And so I think, he was probably going to call it quits in the next couple of years anyways, but, really something like this happening really puts, a damper and a halt on any future plans he had for golf, because obviously all the reports have mentioned that, both legs were injured in some capacity, probably one
broken
being
ankle
worse than the other. Yeah. And so it's not looking good in terms of, health wise. And I would say from a mental aspect, I don't know if he's going to want to get back out there and try to give it another go, especially with, the level of talent there is in, the PGA Tour nowadays. There are younger golfers that are coming up. People are playing at an unbelievably high level. And, Tiger, had that in obviously in the prime of his career back, right. In the 2000s, that was really when he was dominating the sport. And I don't know, man, it's obviously a sad day. He was the reason, I really got into golf.
Yep.
He made the sport what it is today, really. I don't think golf was such a premier sport and a headline sport that it is today. And now, right. Even if Tiger's not at the forefront of the sport, people still watch because, just because Tiger's playing or just because, he's involved with something. But I don't think it's going to be the same again. I don't think, a player like him, comes around too often in a sport like that. So, Tiger, you'll be missed definitely by me and, fans obviously all around the world. No matter what he did off the greens, you can't take away how good he was when he actually stepped on that golf course. And if he's not the greatest, he's definitely in the top two.
I think it is going to be hard for him because I think that he really did want to pass Jack Nicholson with his majors. Like I know that, just reading about Tiger, and knowing the competitiveness of him. Like, I mean, he was one of the most competitive dudes, and I think that he really did want to beat Jack. And I'm sure that in 2019, the Masters, when he won the Masters there, I'm sure that didn't help his itch to really try to go after Jack's record there. I can't imagine at that age, after all this stuff happening, you being like, okay, I did that, like, I'm good. I think he's probably like, okay, I can still win at the highest level. Like, I'm still, this great golfer. So I'm sure that that's gonna, just eat him up. That he's probably gonna have to hang it up, because even if, like you said, he's probably at the 17th or 18th hole of his career, and I don't think that coming back from rehab of severely damaged legs with the back injury, I don't think that he's going to do it. We'll see. I think we'll see him, in celebrity golf matches years from now. We'll see him at the senior PGA or whatever it is. We'll see him, at the Masters giving off. But I think that he's now going to be moving into a ambassador role, basically, for the sport of golf. He's going to have to. Because like you said, there are a lot of young golfers now that are really good. I mean, I think that we know more golfers today than we've ever known. Like Jordan Spieth, Rory McIlroy. You still have Justin Thomas and Justin Rose, and you have so many. And I'm just like, those are just off the top of my head. I know there's so many more that we know. And I think that Tiger's just going to move into that ambassador role of just trying to, grow the sport. And like you said, for me, like, Tiger was the guy that we watched. Tiger was the guy that, of course, we didn't watch when he was right in his prime because we were like younger and really didn't care about golf. But like, he's the reason that I started watching golf, like watching highlights and being like, okay, he's one of those guys that when you watch highlights, you're like, man, like golf's pretty easy. Like this golf thing's not that hard. And then you go to a practice, you go hit golf balls for the first time, and you're like, holy cow, how did this man do this? Like, if you go hit golf balls, go watch Tiger Woods, watch how easy it is, and if you've never hit a golf ball, then start going hitting golf balls, go to the driving range. It's so hard, and he made it look so easy.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those players where, one individual, it's all you need is that one person to, really bring you in and draw you into a sport. Like, I think I mentioned it while we were off air. Stephen Curry does that for the game of basketball. You turn on a tennis match to see Serena Williams because they just have that sort of aura that, they draw you in. You have to physically watch because it's just greatness. And even if they're losing, even if, they're playing badly, they do it with grace. And even at that point, you still are rooting for them. That's right. The crazy thing about these athletes is that, they really make you feel like you're a part of their team and, that you're riding with them the entire time. And that's what Tiger really brought to the sport of golf. I don't think I've ever felt that, really before, even in sports at all, because obviously golf is, a one-person sport. You play, as yourself, by yourself. You are your own entity in a game of golf. You are your own team. So I really felt like, everyone watching was on Tiger's team because of the way he brought the crowd into it and did the fist pumps and really, just made the game of golf exciting where, if you look at golf from the outside perspective as a neutral, just sports fan, it doesn't seem like the most exciting sport.
No.
But yeah, someone like that can make that sport great. And sometimes you just have to tune in to watch greatness. And that's what Tiger was. That's
what the one thing for me with him is like, it's a situation where, yesterday, like, I was like shocked. Like I was real. Like I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and when you first hear it, I was obviously thinking the worst and just being like, this is incredible. And like I remember I texted you and you were texting me and you're like, it's almost been a year since Kobe died, and like that was a gut punch, and like this would have been another gut punch. But luckily he's okay. Like. We're talking about him like he's deceased. He's not. He's good. He's gonna be fine. Like physically, he's just probably not gonna play golf again. And of course, when you are such a great player, when you are the, in my opinion, greatest player of all time, it's hard when you see these things happen and knowing that it's going to, at some point, they're going to hang him up. I mean, this is like LeBron James hanging it up. Like this is big. Knowing that we're probably never going to see Tiger Woods on the golf course again, competing at a high level, like playing in actual tournaments. It's pretty surreal, honestly, pretty sad. But I don't know. I still haven't. Me and you still haven't gone golf. I still haven't paid off my debts from the last bet I made. I don't even remember what bet I made, but I lost it. But we still haven't even played golf, and I mean, for so long.
Yeah. And one thing to, I guess, conclude on this point is, it really hurts when you see athletes like that, their careers being shortened by injury. Like when you have greatness in front of you. Like the example that always comes to mind for me, because he was one of my favorite players, is Derrick Rose. Like, what could have Derrick Rose been if he never had that ACL tear? What could he have done for the Bulls? Just injuries like that. It's really unfortunate because, these players don't come around often. And like, we've never seen someone do what Derrick Rose did back in the day ever again. Like I haven't seen a player like that with that kind
explosive,
of hops, with that kind of athleticism, explosiveness. I've never seen that again since then. And I don't think I'll see another Tiger in my lifetime. Serena's about to call it quits. I don't think I'll ever see anyone like that again. So, really with injuries, especially those really hurt the most because it's out of their hands. It wasn't, happening while he was playing even. So it's just, it just really sucks.
I would draw the parallel to Kobe when he got hurt there towards the end of his career after the championship in 2010. Right around 2012 when he was getting hurt, it just kind of felt like, we had watched the end. Like it was over. He wasn't going to be competing at the highest level anymore. And yeah, you're right. It's pretty sad and sombering when those things happen. But like I said, luckily he's okay. Luckily, like he's going to be fine. So, and of course we'll get more information, and I'm ready for any more information that he will give us, or that, we can find out coming up. But, yeah, that's going to do it for us tonight. I don't have anything else. Mo, do you have any final thoughts? Anything that you just didn't get to talk about that you were like, hey, we should say it? I mean, we got a couple minutes left, but
Texas basketball beat Kansas last night, baby. That's all I want to talk about.
Okay, we're not going to talk about West Virginia?
Yeah, we're gonna put the past in the past, and we're going into March.
What a impressive victory by West Virginia over Texas, though. What an impressive victory the other weekend. I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. Hey, and I can't really say anything. My alma maters can't
bring Stephen F. Austin down to Austin and have him play us this year. We'll see.
My Stephen F. Austin cannot make the postseason this year. They have been banned from the postseason due to some wrongdoings. Yeah. So they're not even going to be in the March Madness tournament. They're going to win the Southern Conference and not be in the tournament. So whoever's playing for second, congratulations. But, all right, that's going to do it for us. I guess Mo's going to sign off with some hook 'em horns, and we'll see how they do. And we're going to go watch some Pacers-Warriors. Steph Curry playing tonight here on ESPN, I believe, on Wednesday nights. ESPN, yep. Pacers-Warriors. So we're going to go watch that. Thank you all so much for joining us here tonight. We'll be back next Wednesday full of stuff. I don't know what we'll talk about yet, but we are definitely going to be talking about a lot coming up next week. So y'all have a good night. Be sure to follow us on 12-ounce or on Twitter at Logan Ward Show. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, wherever you use your social media. Be sure to follow us there. Y'all have a good night. This has been the Logan Ward Show here on 12-Ounce Sports Radio.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.